We're going to talk about why self-compassion is crucial to promoting your well-being, examples of what it looks like when you're not being compassionate to yourself versus when you are, and how to do it. So let's get into it. Why does she have sunglasses on, you ask? Well, I had the audacity to put on some makeup 3 days ago, and as a result of that, some got lodged under my eyeball. And now my eye is just this inflamed mess. And I waited all weekend for the swelling to go down and for the pain to stop. It has not, so I'm going to have to figure out how to see a doctor soon. That is a tomorrow problem. Tonight's problem is dealing with self-compassion, because some of y'all are really mean to yourself. Usually on this channel, you get my Libra rising with a touch of my Aries sun, but today you're getting all of my Scorpio moon with a touch of my Libra rising to referee, okay? I'm feeling a little sassy today. I have my horse blanket here. I wouldn't say I was a horse girl. I was horse girl adjacent. I rode horses, but I wasn't obsessed with them. It was like my sport. But I did create a horse girl. I'm so sorry, Amanda. I think you turned out okay. And if you're new here and you're like, what is she talking about? What is happening? My name is Charlotte. I am not a therapist of any kind. I'm just a Scorpio moon who's trying to hold it together. My eye hurts. No, but seriously, I'm in a funny mood today. But on this channel, I talk about just self-improvement, just generally, mindset, tools to do better in life. I'm gonna hopefully eventually talk about some money stuff, but that's a work in progress for reasons I cannot get into right now. And today we're talking about mindset. We're talking about emotional skill sets, because I truly believe that getting your mind right and getting your emotions right and doing the shadow work and the inner work is how you get to where you're gonna go. That's how I'm doing it. So come on along for the ride. Let's talk about why. Why do we need to be self-compassionate? First, it builds resilience. Setbacks are inevitable. You're going to fail. When you practice self-compassion, you're better equipped at handling that failure because you see mistakes as part of a learning process and not as a reflection of your actual self-worth. Instead of falling into the cycle of blame, you see, okay, we can do this again. We can try again. Self-compassion is also really important for reducing your fear of failure, because creating a sense of emotional safety for yourself is crucial to allowing yourself to step outside of your comfort zone. And when you step outside of your comfort zone and try new things, that's when the magic happens. That's when all of this growth starts to show up. Self-compassion encourages healthy motivation, because when you use self-criticism to push you forward, you're just going to speedrun burnout, and it's going to lead to performance decline. When you use compassion to fuel yourself, it's going to treat yourself more gently and gently push yourself forward, and that is less likely to lead to burnout. Self-compassion encourages reflection, which is what you need in order to grow. When you're compassionate with yourself, it makes you more receptive to feedback. It makes you open to criticism. It makes you open to self-reflecting. And that is going to allow you to analyze where you need to change things and how you need to move forward that's not been working in the past. When we are overly critical with ourselves, we may avoid looking at what we're doing wrong, because that means that it's going to lead us to berating ourselves, or we may end up rationalizing our shortcomings. When you use self-compassion as the tool to move you forward, you can acknowledge your shortcomings instead of avoiding them, and then you can address them without any judgment and use that as an opportunity for growth. It's the fixed versus growth mindset. When you have self-compassion, it fosters a growth mindset. And finally, like I said in the beginning, it promotes emotional well-being. Self-compassion helps you regulate your emotions better. It improves your focus, it improves your productivity, because it basically allows you to foster a healthy relationship with yourself, and it helps you maintain that motivation and satisfaction in your performance and what you're doing long term. Okay, Charlotte, I get it. I get why we should be compassionate with ourselves, but give me an example. So let's say you're learning a new skill. Let's say you're trying to learn a new language, and you make a mistake when doing some grammar and writing some sentences out, and your internal programming, your old school programming kicks in. I'm never going to get this right. Why do I keep getting this wrong? I'm so bad at everything I try. I'm not good enough to even attempt this. What is wrong with me? That is unhelpful. If you reframe it as mistakes are a part of learning, ask yourself, what can I try differently to get this right? Maybe there's a different way I can try to remember this. Maybe there's a tutorial out there I can look up. I'm sure I'm not the first person to struggle with this verb. It's an irregular verb. I'm forgetting that it has a weird rule. How do I mark this in my brain? These are reframes, because berating yourself is not going to help you remember the verb. It's going to upset you and frustrate you and lead you to taking longer to actually learning the thing. So let's break it down. What are the steps to actually showing yourself self-compassion. First, this idea of embracing common humanity instead of isolating yourself as a problem. Suffering and imperfection are part of a shared human experience. You're not the only person to struggle like this. That was an example in the example. Asking yourself, okay, maybe other people have figured out a solution to the problem I'm having. Let me go find that out. You are not a uniquely horrible or flawed person, I promise. And I think a lot of people have a bias because we're so deeply aware of our own thoughts and feelings and flaws that we aren't aware of when we're looking at other people, right? Like we know all of our thoughts. And so we don't even think that other people could be struggling in the same way we do. We're not as different as we like to think we are. Another person out there has struggled with what you're struggling with. Next, you're going to want to practice mindfulness rather than over-identifying with the feeling that you are experiencing. So you want to acknowledge your struggle, acknowledge your pain, but don't allow it to consume you. Don't allow it to become a part of who you are. Don't take on that feeling as a part of your core identity. So in that example where you're trying to learn that new language, you're struggling and you make a mistake and you start to get really upset with yourself and you start to internalize this idea of I'm a failure. And if you were to ask yourself, why do you feel that way? You might go on to say, I'm not getting this and I should have gotten it by now. What is wrong with me? Why can't I do anything right? So what is underneath that sentiment? It's a deep-seated sense of disappointment. You're disappointed in your performance. And as a result of that, you said, I'm a disappointment, I'm a failure. What mindfulness would look like is removing yourself from that emotion and that experience. So saying, instead of I'm a failure, you're saying, I'm feeling disappointed right now. It's making me frustrated. I'm feeling frustrated. Maybe I should work on something else for a little bit and come back to this. Instead of looking at yourself as a problem, you're looking at the situation as a temporary emotional disturbance, right? It's a fleeting feeling. It's going to pass. Now, this next bit is going to be cliche advice, but it's cliche for a reason. It works. Would you say this to someone else? Would you treat someone else this way? That's what you're going to ask yourself. We tend to be overly critical with ourselves rather than with others because we mistakenly believe that self-criticism is necessary in order to see progress. And we've been taught that being hard on ourselves is going to keep us in line, and that if we're not our harshest critics, then we're going to become lazy or complacent, or we're not going to progress. This is not true. Self-criticism usually stems from fear. We may be afraid of failure, we may be afraid of rejection, we may be afraid of a feeling of shame or self-hatred that we worry will arise if we fail at something or if we don't do something perfectly. And we think that by motivating ourselves through shame or punishment that we are warding off that failure or trying to push away that fear. But this can backfire by making us feel that shame. It can make us feel anxious. It makes us afraid of taking risks, and it's going to erode our confidence away and create a cycle of doubt that's never going to serve you. This example I gave about learning a new language and being frustrated with yourself when you conjugate something wrong, this is actually something I just experienced, and I was getting really frustrated with myself because I've been trying to learn Italian for a long time, and it feels very difficult for me to learn. If a friend were telling me this, what I would tell her is that languages are supposed to be difficult to learn, especially when you get older, because if you think about what languages do, it identifies people as in-group or out-group. And if you are able to learn a complex language, then you're identified as a safe person. And so just thinking about this historically, thinking about it from the anthropological sense of things, languages are supposed to be hard to learn. It's not going to be easy, and you do have to immerse yourself in it. But you're capable of doing it because you're really good at speaking English. That's what I would tell my friend. If you can learn English, you can learn Italian. It's just going to take some time, and you need to be patient with yourself and maybe try some new things. Berating myself is not going to lead me to better outcomes. It's going to make me afraid of trying again, because I'm going to think if I screw up, then I'm going to feel that shame. When you practice self-compassion, you're not going to feel that shame. You're going to think, it's okay. Languages are hard. You can do this. Let's regroup. How do you balance self-compassion with accountability? You may be thinking, if I'm not kind to myself, I'm going to let myself off the hook and I'm not going to do what I want to do. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, I hear you. Self-compassion is not about excusing bad behavior. It's about acknowledging our humanity and using that understanding as a foundation for growth. The difference between accountability and compassion. Is accountability focuses on outcome, while compassion acknowledges the effort that you're putting in, even if the results were not what you wanted or expected. So that example I just gave about trying to talk to my friend, right? I'm being honest, but I'm being encouraging. I'm not pretending like she did it, she conjugated it perfectly. That's not the case. You didn't meet the expectation, but we have not exhausted every single option yet. And there's still ways you can fix it. And there's always next time. Let's just make sure we try again. If you need a very simple guide, what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, what went well? Name something you did well. Give yourself that pat on the back. What didn't go so well? Where's there room for improvement? And what is the plan for improving on the next go? How can we try something different? What can we do to encourage us to take another step in the right direction? I talk about compassion and accountability in this video about overcoming self-sabotage if you want something else to watch along the same vein of this video. So thank you so much for getting to the end. I really appreciate you being here. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I always love hearing from you guys and letting me know you exist. Until next time, bye.